In a world that we live in, there are a lot of people and a lot of opportunities that surround us every single day. There are opportunities for us to grow. There are opportunities for us to leap into things that we have as far as our goals go. But in this moment, we have to really think about the things that allow us to get to those places, which is taking care of us. Hey, everybody, and welcome so much to the Sonshine State. Thank you for joining us today, guys. As you can see, I'm a little tongue-tied because I'm really excited about what we're about to talk about today, but we're just going to jump right into it. I'm actually going to read the bio of my guest today because she needs a proper introduction. So we're going to give it to her. So my guest today is Alicia Hurt. And she is a licensed clinical social worker with professional experience spanning almost 10 years in support of clients of varying backgrounds, navigating barriers to access care for mental health, and building skills to better manage stress and anxiety, coping with addiction, navigating, adjusting to life changes, and increasing motivation, self-esteem, and confidence. Over her career, she's worked with nonprofit community mental health organizations, healthcare organizations, and private practice organizations supporting clients who have been unhoused, recently incarcerated, victims of trauma, and individuals dealing with addiction, and everybody else in their mind. So, without further ado, welcome, Miss Alicia Hurt.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, and you said you need that reminder. It's speak up time now.
Oh yeah, not my therapist.
Yeah, this is not your soothing therapist
not
voice
the
right
quiet
now.
session voice.
No,
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, yes. Okay, we're gonna pull this a little closer because you. Okay. Yeah, you're gonna challenge us today on this sound tip.
Gotta, elevate my regular voice.
Yes, yes. But Thank you so much for joining me. I know we have tried to make this happen and get together for some time now. And it's been one of the ones where I was like, okay, so how exactly do I position a therapist on the Sonshine State? Because it's definitely about emotional health and wellness. It's definitely about all the things. And, we get up here, we clown, we have a good time.
Yeah.
However, at the end of the day, it's more so about growth and wellness. And bringing you into that is something that I thought was like super helpful. So let's go ahead and kick it off with some real stuff.
Yeah.
How did you get to become a therapist? Like, what was that moment in your life where you was like, okay, this is what I am purposed to do?
So, actually, this is something that I could say from a young age, I think I knew I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
My mom laughs about it and says like, oh, you got the eye care award. And I'm like, yes, I did, because I was that helpful kid.
Yeah.
I was always wanting to be of assistance and notice that friends would kind of entrust me with really heavy stuff at a very young age.
Right.
And started to kind of delve into that much more as I got older to see like, this is something that I kind of think I want to do.
Right.
Talking to people, hearing people's stories, being a part of supporting them, but on a broader level.
Right. So how do you manage to separate yourself from their problems? Because I know it's heavy a lot of time.
Yeah.
Probably all the time.
Yeah. I would say currently where I'm at in my career, it's a lot easier to navigate a work-life balance and not be able to kind of carry the heaviness of it home. I would say when I was working in community mental health, that was much more challenging as I feel like some of the things and the complexities of the issues that people were dealing with were much higher stakes.
Yeah.
But right now I would say I am very intentional with really leaving work at work, which is really hard to do.
Yes.
But by trying to have a really full social life, a really full personal life, and being really present with my friends, my family, loved ones, so that way I can actually have the joy of being in that moment rather than kind of reflecting on all the vicarious trauma or the heavy things that you hold from sessions.
Yeah, absolutely. So you talk about your social life and things like that. So how do you manage to again, because if you're a therapist, people expect you to be that all the time. I'm HR to my friends as well. They're calling me, asking me about, well, how am I supposed to ask for this raise? Or how am I, so how do you separate that?
Yeah. I mean, I will be honest. I feel like I give a lot of free therapy to friends and family. Yeah. But, it's what do they call, that minute therapy, it's more direct. It's not, I'm not going to have to sugarcoat it or be as gentle because of the rapport and relationship we have. But I do see this as kind of one of those things where it is just kind of a part of what the relationship is.
Right.
That people do look to me for advice and for support. and feel more comfortable being vulnerable with me. And that's great. I feel like that makes the relationships richer. But within that, it is a thing that I do know, like, you're not doing this with your other friends. This is not a thing that's happening.
Yeah.
But it definitely, I won't call it a burden because it doesn't feel like that. I think it does allow me to feel like my relationships are much more genuine.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because they feel the need to be their complete self with you, because maybe on one end they feel like they need to impress you about how far they've come. Or on the other end is like, okay, well, let me not let her see me over here falling apart in this thing and I know that she's an expert in.
And I think a lot of people think that we have telepathy, which is not what a therapist does.
Right.
So they think that I see them. And I'm like, I was probably daydreaming, actually. Right. This is my brain break, but thank you.
Right.
For entrusting me with this.
Absolutely. So you call yourself the Boughie Therapist. Where does that come from? Where does that come from?
People have this perception because I appear to be very quiet, that I am this quiet person, and just, am my mother's child. So we're always, put together. Yeah. And so they think that I am this very bougie person when reality is I am not. So I have embraced it and accepted. And, we like the nicer, finer things in life.
And there's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
I'll be the bougie therapist, sure.
Right, absolutely. Do you feel like you have to be put together for people, though?
I do feel like, there is a certain expectation of what the perception of a therapist should be. And so I do feel like I navigate the world in a different way. This is kind of a conversation that comes up with many of my friends that work in this field, is like, we can't do certain things. We, there is a reputation that comes with that, but also I do want to live up to that. I do want to be what my patients or my clients think that I am.
Right.
Because there's pride with that. Right. But also, it's not a negative thing necessarily.
It is not.
But I do think it is something that helps to kind of ground me. Right. And being able to be making sure that I am doing things that are in my best interest.
So do you feel like that causes you to feel like you have to be on all the time?
Maybe, but I do feel like, going back to one of your earlier questions, I try to protect that free time that I have. Yeah. And so I really only spend a lot of time with people who either really know me. Yeah. And so I don't feel like I have to, be on. Yeah. Because those are spaces where I feel very safe to be me.
I was just about to say, like, do you have anybody that you can just be like the messy, upset, sad self that you might have? Because everybody has a side of them.
Absolutely. Yeah. I feel like I am the weirdest, quirkiest person to both my boyfriend, my best friend, my family, and the jokester, and all of these things that, like, people pay you to deal with their serious life issues.
Right. Yes. And you did that.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's also me.
Yeah.
I mean, but that's real life, because out here, and I think a lot of us deal with it. This whole imposter syndrome thing is real.
Absolutely.
Like, we're all in this life trying to figure out, like, what's going to be our thing, like, whether it is in purpose or whether it's in love or whether it's in whatever, We're all trying to figure out our thing. And some of us feel like we got to put on. That whole fake it till you make it has messed a lot of us up.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm just like, I don't want to have to be fake. I want to be who I am.
Yeah.
I want to be who I am and grow to where I'm supposed to be.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm over the fakeness of it all.
The fakeness of it all has been too much.
Absolutely so much. Girl, how did you get to skincare on this phone?
That is self-care. We love it. Yes, that is self-care for sure.
Oh my gosh. Trying to get to my questions. Anyway, speaking of questions, how do you stay connected to your authentic self? Like, when everyone wants, okay, I already asked something similar to that. Okay, y'all, it's been a minute. Oh, this is a good one. So can you remember a moment where you chose to be reckless in the best way instead of playing it safe?
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is subjective, I guess. Reckless is subjective to everybody because I feel like I'm relatively safe. I don't do anything crazy. Right. There's no mug shots of me out there.
Me either.
FYI. But
wait, is there a mug shot of me?
Like, not that you know, not to your allegedly.
Allegedly. There's no
to your knowledge.
Allegedly. Okay, no, not to my knowledge. To the best of
your abilities, there are no knowledge of a mugshot. Whoa. No, I would say a part of the work that I do that has helped me in that is I feel like my voice has become bigger than it was. I surely can remember of like growing up. And so I feel like I am the family member. I say this lovingly because this may not be true, that I was like, oh, they hate to see me coming because I'm going to say the thing, or I'm going to ask the question, or I'm going to have the uncomfortable conversation. Yeah. Because let's rip this Band-Aid off so that we can move forward. Like I always say, like, you know, and still we move forward. Regardless of what it is, we have to move forward. And so I'm like, it is, you know, having the uncomfortable cultural generational conversation with grandma about the things that she shouldn't be saying. I've had those, but it has made us closer.
Jeez. I'm glad she's receptive.
That is the reckless of like, don't talk to me like that. And that being not a thing.
That's brave. That's not reckless.
Oh, yeah. It's brave. You know? And I was like, we say reckless because I'm like, ooh, you don't know how this is going to go.
True. Very true, because you don't know if they're going to swing or if they're going to what.
Yeah, so what our relationship will look like after this. And just, you know, making that transition of like, we're not on even playing fields because you are my elder.
Correct.
But mutual respect is necessary in this relationship for it to be a healthy one or for us to both feel safe and comfortable.
Correct. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, that's crazy. Because I'm imagining myself having that conversation with my grandmother. Now, see, my grandmother, it just depends on which one. Because the one on my dad's side, she would, in the most dignified and uppity manner and the most pristine way ever, tell me, girl, go to hell. You know? But
I got one of those too, you know?
But the other one, she's going to be like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. I was sure I was shaking in my boots the first time.
Right. Yeah. So, kudos to you. So what would you say is the part of your self-care that kind of lights you up or radiates within you the most right now?
Honestly, I would say right now it is working out. It is going to the gym. It is making it a non-negotiable and a priority for me because it gives me that I may be exhausted and hate like, I got to get up earlier. I got to extend my day. But it gives me an energy rush and it makes me feel really good about pouring back into myself. It's the most consistent piece of self-care that I can say because other things is kind of up and down depending on what my time looks like.
True.
But I would say it is exercise. It is moving my body every day.
So you have a pretty rigorous exercise regimen.
Touche.
You want to tell us a little bit about that? Because when I heard your schedule, I was like, oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. I try my hardest to be there every single day. I used to do 2-a-days, and then I was like, you know what? Let's not. Let's find other
I met you on the 2-a-days ring.
Yeah. And so, you know, I try to be there every single day. There, you know, I'm lucky enough to have an apartment that has a gym on the property. So on the days that I don't feel like driving to the gym, even though that's up the street, it's like, okay, you know, let's do something. And I always will famously say a bad workout is better than no workout.
True.
Because, I mean, maybe I don't have to leave my apartment for it and have some things here to do that. But just getting my body moving, that also helps me kind of shake off the day. That helps me shake off whatever it is that I am carrying up here that I need to let go of so that I can get meaningful rest or enjoy the meal that I'm eating. You know?
Yeah, because you even have like some thought processes on how like you want to do food. Because you're like, I'm not about to eat no nasty food.
No.
But you're still managing to, you know, shed weight because you've had a weight loss journey too. Like, how much weight have you lost?
Ooh, I want to say like a little over, 50 pounds maybe? But, you know, as women of color and, you know, if we have curves, it looks a little different.
Yeah, it does.
Probably didn't look that different. But with that being said, like, of course, you know yourself. And, you know, I feel like at that point when you lose any weight, whether it's 10 pounds, whether it is 20 pounds, you know, we're in a battle with our body and how we perceive what our body looks like.
Correct. Because we see it a totally different way than others do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so in that journey of that, I feel like it's more of getting back to yourself.
Yeah.
You know, because even with that, like for other people, they'd be like, whatever. Especially, you know, seeing you, you know, they're just like, oh, whatever.
Yeah.
But for me, I'm like, you know, at that point, I'm like, I feel like I am an imposter, a visitor in my own body. And so that's not a good space mentally to be in.
So. Imposter in your body. Like, really? How does that work? I just feel like I'm betraying myself.
Well, yeah,
when
and
I
I mean,
overeat
and it feels
sometimes.
like it feels like the person who you're looking back at, you don't recognize that person, especially if you know yourself to be someone that, you know, previously was
took
not
good care of yourself.
this way. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, and we've talked a little bit about that too, of that journey, but I think that is my biggest self-care is my commitment to myself to move, my commitment to do things to pour back into me, to make me feel good, to make me feel like this was a day that I didn't forget to do the things for myself.
Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna preach about it all the time, and I'm not even gonna pretend like I do it every day, because I don't. I'm a whole behind mother. But I'm gonna try my best to do it at least 3 to 4 times a week. I'm like, that's the minimum commitment I can do for myself at this point.
Hey, even bodybuilders don't work 7 days a week.
They
don't. So there's a rest day in there.
Right.
So no, you're doing, and I always say, and I think it's important, like, the best you can do is the best you can do.
Exactly.
And we got to celebrate it.
Yeah.
We celebrate all wins, no matter how small.
I struggle with celebrating myself, though.
That's hard.
I struggle with it because, if I'm being very honest, there have been like a lot of people who come into my life where it's just like, oh, it's not a big deal. Oh, that's nothing. Especially when I lived in Chicago.
Yeah.
Chicago people don't think, they're not impressed by anything. And I love my Chicago people, and a lot of very, very talented people in Chicago. But Lord have mercy, Chicago is not impressed by nothing. You could have won the Pulitzer Prize. I'm like, that's all right.
But and I always say, like, oh, that's a reflection of you. That's not a reflection of me.
True.
Like, we are, our inner voice, and who we are is what people have poured into us.
Yeah.
And so oftentimes those critical voices that we hear are our parents or our grandparents or whoever that person is they may think that they are supporting you by pushing you, by not celebrating those wins, but all it does is create a really critical adult who doesn't allow themselves to stop, to kind of graze in the joy that is the successes that you are making, and continue to push you to burnout.
Right.
Like, one of the, questions that I saw on the call sheet was, talking about, basically, this thought that I always have is like, a lot of us see our value in how we can produce and what we can do for other people.
Yes.
And I try to remind patients pretty regularly, like, we can't attach our value to our productivity. Yeah. Because what happens when we retire? What happens if we get injured? What happens if we become disabled?
Because you have to pivot.
That becomes a bottomless pit of despair, because then that was our whole identity.
Yeah.
And so we have to attach our value to other things. We have to be able to see the small wins, be able to acknowledge that we are who we think we are. Those positive traits that people are saying.
Yes.
Which is why I like, and I think it is important in the work that I do, to ask people, what do they hear from other people are their strengths or positive traits about them? Because you'll never be able to say what your strengths are.
That's a good question.
But you know what people say about you. Are you compassionate? Are you generous? Are you caring? Are you helpful?
So what are the things that they say about you?
Oh, should have known. I hear those things.
Okay.
I of course, empathetic.
Okay.
But supportive is the biggest thing. That I think I hear very often. I mean, I feel like naturally with the work that I do. Right. But I will say that I am a present or supportive friend to those in my life. Right. And I think I try to be really intentional with that.
Yeah. Because I'm sitting up here thinking for myself, okay, well, for sure, they would say that I am productive, for sure.
They would say more than that.
It's one of the things. They would say I'm productive for the most part, because sometimes I have my moments and they're like, okay, when are we gonna do something else? But anyway, because they're used to be producing at a high level. So definitely would say productive, definitely would say creative, definitely would say I have a can-do attitude. I'm not one of those people who are just going to be like, oh, I can't do it, it's over. For the most part. Yeah. Again, I have my moments. I'm like, this isn't what I do. I don't like it. But yeah. There's some positive qualities. Definitely a good mom. Like, everybody, that girl is my life. So I don't have a choice. Like, there are some sacrifices I've made on behalf of her that people are like, dang, I wish my mama would have done some of those things with me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but for sure. But that's a great question. Yeah, I think on that a little bit more.
I think it's helpful to take stock of that in your relationships. And it's not like you outright ask people, what do you think of me? But, just take
listen,
stock of, because friends will say things if we listen close enough about how they appreciate us.
Right.
And I think that forces you to think about, how have I showed up in this relationship?
Right.
That they see me this way. And
Absolutely.
I think that is an important thing to be able to reflect on.
Correct.
Just to be able to know how people perceive you, because our brain can be our best friend and our worst enemy.
Yep.
Super critical.
Yep.
Or guide you to make some crazy decisions.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So would you say that you've had a bad habit that you've successfully broken?
Oh, I would say yes.
And would you mind sharing what that habit is?
Sure. Yes. I would say a bad habit would be complaining, which is very much, people are like, huh? Yes. I think that's a thing that a lot of people do and they don't realize they do it.
I need help.
It's
like, I need help. Like, how did you do that? Like, for real.
I practice, delayed reaction. I don't I remind people all the time, like, just because someone is asking you questions doesn't mean you have to respond right away.
Immediately, yeah.
I think we have an impulse because our parents required that from us.
Yes.
And so I practice really intentional communication.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't complain a lot. I have trained myself to be in a space of like, how important is this? And is this that big of a deal?
Right. Okay. Well, you helping me.
Yeah, hey.
No, because for real, like sometimes I think it's because I'm being honest about how I feel in this moment, and it sounds like a complaint. But that's not the way people are receiving it.
No.
Like, or it might be what they're receiving. It just depends on the moment. But there are times where I'm like, man, I really wish this was that. Or, man, it would have been better if this was this. And it just sounds like, dang, are you happy about it?
Yeah.
And I guess in this season, for me personally, I am committed to I'm committed to growing.
Yeah.
And I'm committed to being able to increase in the things that bring peace and success and productivity into my life. There have been so many dreams that have kind of drifted away. I have these lofty ideas. Ideas just come to me. And it's just like, because I have not grabbed onto a lot of those things, because my mind make me miss them sometimes.
Of course.
It gets in the way. It's limiting beliefs. And I'm just like, okay, all right. How do we get back to it? How do we get ourselves back on track about it? Anyway, but yes, it's not going to be my therapy session today.
It's all right.
I already had it for this week.
You got my number.
I do. Wait, do you have a therapist?
Yes. So currently I am looking for a new therapist.
Okay.
I've had several in my life.
I can refer you to one because she won't know that.
Of course not.
Well, yeah, because she won't have anything of us together.
No,
so I can refer you to.
Please do.
Yes.
I think as much as I obviously am a part of the representation of women in color who are mental health providers, it's very slim. And I tell people, in that first initial meeting, often in my private practice, that I tell people, like, hey, if we're not a good fit, like, it is not your job to protect my emotions. And I don't want you to feel like you have to feel bad about breaking up with me because I care more about your mental health than, you sticking it out and thugging it out if you don't feel like you're getting anything or you're not connecting with me.
Yes.
Because that's hard.
Yeah. I had 4 therapists before I found this one.
Hey. And that's normal.
Yeah. I was like, okay. And it was so crazy because the last one that I got, that I separated from, it just didn't seem like she was giving me a lot of like tools to manage and because I don't need a cheerleader. No. I just don't. That doesn't really do much for me.
Well, yeah, and that's not what you're there for in that moment.
I need tools. And so I was like, okay. I went, because it was through the YWCA in Chicago. And so I was like, well, can I try someone else? Because I'd like to have someone preferably that's an African-American female who deals with these specific things, trauma, PTSD, blah, 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 all the things. And so they were like, okay, cool, we can find somebody. But then the supervisor called me back and the supervisor was upset with me. Huh? Listen.
What?
I had to file a whole complaint about the scenario.
That's insane.
She got upset with me because I was trying to switch therapists, and she just couldn't understand for the life of her why my person had to be a Black woman. And she was just like, well, what do you mean? Like, you don't think she could? I was like, I just want somebody who can identify with the things.
And why do I have to explain
And the
that
thing
to
is
you?
that I was like, the thing that made her really stop is like, I already struggle with advocating for myself.
Yeah.
In this moment, I chose a really big step to advocate for myself for something that I need. And you are making me feel like trash. I was on the phone crying. She's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry that was your experience, because that's crazy.
So
actually,
then, when I got my next therapist, the Black lady, she was like, that happened?
Yeah, because that's how you see my face.
She was like, hold my beer. And then she went, I mean, not literally hold my beer. She was like, one moment, let me take care of this for you. So she went in and she advocated for me. She went through the whole complaint process. And I was like, oh my God.
Because that should not happen. And I think this is that piece that I always say, like,
right,
whether it's healthcare, whether it's private practice, whether it's community mental health, these are all systems that are broken at the core. And unfortunately, people are people.
Yep.
And so there may be areas where they're going to fail you, because that, to me, like, this is all about your ego and me saying that this isn't a good fit, and you're not hearing anything else that I'm saying that I need.
Right.
Because I will say always that it is a radical act to get support for your mental health.
Exactly.
And to throw away the stigma of mental health, to throw away the shame that is being super vulnerable with someone about,
that you don't know.
Yeah. From scratch about what your life has been, and being honest of what you need.
Yeah.
I'm very transparent, like, with my folks in private practice to be like, hey, give me feedback, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of shame that goes into starting therapy. That went into starting therapy for me, because I was like, man, I can't figure this out for myself. You know what I'm saying? Me coming to terms with the fact that I need help was difficult enough.
That's common, especially within our community. I hear a lot of people like, well, I guess things got this bad that I gotta go see therapists. I'm like, hey, I don't think I'm that bad. But I was like, I understand. You know, I understand that is the perception in the community. It was like, oh, what? Many people are raised to say we don't tell people our business.
True.
And that we're sort to figure...
This
have
stays
to sort
in
it
the
out
house.
ourselves, which is not productive.
Nope.
When dealing with things that you've never dealt with before.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I was going to ask you this question, and I didn't know if it was like okay for me to ask this, because I didn't necessarily know if it was, since we're neither one of us are men, because I already know that I have questions that, you know, men sometimes struggle with feeling safe and feeling vulnerable, and like they can release or talk about their feelings and things like that. So I'm just going to ask it anyway. How would you suggest men feel safe enough to share their vulnerabilities, and do you think it's safe for them to do so?
Oh, of course it's safe for them to do so. And in the work that I do, it is very common that I see more men than I do women a lot of the times.
Yeah.
And oftentimes they will prefer a female therapist because they feel more comfortable having the hard conversations and less embarrassed to have those discussions. And maybe it's a space of not feeling judged.
Right.
But it definitely is something that they should feel safe to do. And it's hard to kind of give them that push.
Yeah.
You know, I have had this conversation in friend groups, you know, kind of outside of the workspace.
Right.
And saying, you know, when they're talking about people talking about friends that are men that struggle to kind of deal with some of the issues they're dealing with that are really complex, just encouraging them, like, you know, encourage them to write it down. That being the starting point, and to share the things that they're writing. Yeah. Because then you don't have to say it with your mouth, and it feels less uncomfortable. Then it's just like, let me shove this book over there to you, and, you know, I'm going to walk out the room. Right. You see what I got going on. Yeah. And then you start the convo. Yeah. And so just kind of encouraging them to vent. Yeah. Being that starting point. And I see this a lot, like referrals to therapy from other men, from men. Okay. Or, I just have this really great person that you should talk to. Right. You know? Right. Just got to go one session. Right. But in the work that I do in my full-time gig, I see a lot of people dealing with addiction. And so, unfortunately, I feel like we see them at this point of consequences and things at stake. Yeah. And so either you're going to lose things, you're going to lose relationships, you're going to lose employment, you're going to lose freedom. Yeah. You know, at the intersection of addiction and mental health. And so too often I feel like that's a space when people feel like, you know what, I got to get help.
Yep.
I got to get the support that I need. And of course, in that room, in those spaces, I'm like, oh my God, there's all these other things that have been happening for decades, for years.
Right.
That you've never processed or talked about that, of course, are always the underlying issues to how your relationship with dependency on substances began.
Right.
Oof. Like you're using this as a maladaptive coping skill to escape the real stress of life.
Yeah. For sure. I mean, and there are a lot of, unfortunately, especially Black men who don't see a space for them to truly express and be themselves. Now, people who have navigated and found their way to therapy, wonderful for them. But for those who haven't, like the stigma is, well, men can't be vulnerable. Men can't feel because they have to be, because the world doesn't make space for them to feel. Because the world is so against them that they can't feel these things. So it's just like as a Black woman, how do we, or as a Black woman who loves Black men, because all of us don't love Black men. All of us are not advocating for them.
Unfortunately, this is true.
All of us are not for them. You know, some of us are like about the bag and we don't care what color the bag is in.
Which is wild.
Which is crazy because it's like, now, let me rewind and pull that back before. I already know the internet warriors, the keyboard warriors gonna come after me a little bit. But what I mean by that is that, you know, there's nothing wrong with getting your bag. There's nothing wrong with making your money. There's nothing wrong with chasing your coin, with getting your coins, right? But if your love relationships are a for-profit business,
that's crazy. But
that's the part that I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm still of a frame of mind and I want to love my person.
Absolutely.
I want to think my person is like the best thing since sliced bread.
Absolutely.
And that's not the case for all people.
This is true.
So then how do men navigate? And you know what? I'm going to say this and I'm going to take my seat that I'm already in. I think sometimes men walk themselves into those situations because they try to pretend like they don't see that this is a gold digger in front of them. And it really is.
Well, you know, I always say, like, some people like to imagine things that were never there and hold on to hope that never existed.
And then want to label all women based on the type of women that they choose.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. And I say it goes both ways because I think a lot of people start and build relationships with things that were never there to begin with.
You are absolutely right.
Absolutely.
You are absolutely right. Because I've seen the abs of Jesus and have not paid attention that this is a freaking knucklehead. And I'm like, wait a minute. I knew you wasn't worth 2 dead flies when I got with you. What am I doing? This is my fault.
Well, and I think that, you know, that's a piece of accountability, but it's also very hard. You know, sometimes we'd be like, you know, I didn't. Sometimes it doesn't matter when you got there as long as you were safe and you're okay. Right. But, you know, reclaim your time. Yeah. Don't continue to give that of you or whatever it is, whether it is emotionally, physically, mentally, or otherwise, in a space where you will not get that reciprocated.
True.
Or appreciated.
Yes. There, yes. Yes. Anyway, because I feel that thing because I'm just like, you know, it's so much, because I really, really hate this whole divide between like Black men and Black women right now. I don't think it's as big as it used to be because it was like Kevin Samuel like tore us into shreds.
Oh God, yes.
But
I couldn't.
The thing is that I didn't disagree with everything Kevin Samuel said. I didn't. I hated his delivery.
What do they say? A broken clock is right at least twice a day.
So I hated his delivery.
The same goes for people who say the most outlandish things on the internet that are deeply rooted in narcissism.
Yes.
Like, okay, you may have said the one thing that, well, that wasn't that crazy.
Right.
I can see how you got there.
Yes. I can see the path.
The intersections of how we got here, you know?
But, I probably wouldn't have took that left turn right there. Because that was a bit much.
Yeah.
Because he was on there. I did appreciate that he was talking about guys and women, or men and women.
Yeah, that it wasn't one-sided.
I think that because he was making more money and getting more clicks off of the conversation with women, it was more prevalent to talk to women. Because he was like, I'm making money over here. Let me
And that's what
dog
the
these
focus
people out a little
was.
bit.
And I'm very big on telling people, you don't have to be licensed, and don't get me on my soapbox of, licensure and the racket that I feel that is, because not everybody with a license should have it. And not everybody with a license is going to be someone that is really for you or leading you in the direction that will improve your mental health or your quality of life.
Correct.
Truly.
Correct.
But what I will say is, to be cognizant of, not wolves in sheep's clothing who are out here having a totally different purpose.
Yep.
Of helping you or furthering you to what your goal is.
Right.
Because if we are here for clicks, if we are here for likes, then how do I fit in that? How does my mental health that is suffering fit in that?
Right.
Does it matter? Or are we here trying to push the button to get what you need for your show?
Exactly.
Because there's a lot of people who are suffering in the background. We're not getting what they need from these types of things.
Because that's what's really helpful. This will be like, okay, let's take this offline because I want to have a conversation with you.
Let me give you some resources later. No.
Let me not dog you out in front of the world.
Yeah.
But see, people also set themselves up for that. This is true. They also was like, oh, I want to call and talk to him. I'm going to give him a piece of my mind. Speedy. He's going to eat you alive. Stop it. This is what he does.
Yeah. I refused to subscribe and to watch that. I was like, I was better uses of my time.
Exactly. I think I maybe watched one episode and I was like, oh, this is toxic AF.
Oh, very.
I can't do this.
Very toxic.
Like there are certain things that I can't even watch on TV. Like that whole movie that they see us how they see us. Or,
oh yes, that movie with the Central Park 5.
I couldn't watch that.
It's a lot. It's very triggering.
I couldn't watch that or the Jeffrey Dahmer story thing.
Oh no.
I was like, no.
Especially because all his victims were people who look like us.
Color. Yes.
No.
Yes. I was like, I'm not watching that because I don't need to carry on somebody's trauma. I have dreams, and I don't need that to be one of them. So I was like, nah, I don't think I can do that.
I think that as a mental health provider, it makes me sad because it makes me like, you weren't born this way.
Right.
Like at some point along the way, someone failed you.
Yeah.
At some point along the way, because even the kids who grow up to be doing the most as adults, like at some point along the way, we didn't do what we could to get you what you needed.
Right.
Or we just ignored you because you were too difficult.
Yes.
And so you then just became what you thought people thought you were already.
Yes. So would that be your professional assessment of Mr. Kanye West?
Oh, oof.
What's your thoughts there?
I think that's mental health. I think that's grief. I think that's trauma. I think that is being surrounded by people who are not necessarily focused on the solutions to help you address those things.
True. Yeah. Yeah.
And I think this is a big piece that we talk about, especially like within our community as well, when mental health has so much stigma attached to it.
Yep.
It's, this idea of, what are the limits? Because boundaries are important. And hey, I will help you. I will support you. I will help you navigate this, but not at the cost of my own mental health.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I think that's a big conversation when we talk about people like Kanye. We talk about other people in the industry, that you have the means, you have access.
Right.
What is happening here?
Right.
And so at some point, that's why I always say, I won't have too much to say on the Kardashians.
No.
And their proximity to that dynamic because I could see the efforts.
Yep.
But at some point, boundaries are important. And I have to then choose myself, especially if there are children involved.
Correct.
I have to choose myself and the safety of myself mentally and emotionally and physically.
Absolutely.
And allow you, and this is the biggest thing, as I am a social worker, like self-determination is important.
Yep.
Like, I can't, just because I know that there is a diagnosis here that needs to be treated, if you don't want to do the work, I can't do anything about that. All I can do is remind you that the resources and the help is here.
Oof.
But if you choose to do what you want to do, I gotta love you from a distance.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus.
We have a lot of people who are in our community dealing with severe mental illnesses that may have ended up unhoused or dealing with like really deep addictions.
Yep.
And even worse mental illnesses. And I think this is a big dynamic within families of like, the choice of, do I keep trying?
Right.
Or do I distance myself and deal with what we call, ambiguous grief?
Right. Or is there a point where you should stop trying?
I think that is, specific to every individual.
Gotcha.
Like there is no like, this is the telltale moment. I think it is when it is starting to impact your functioning.
Yeah.
And your ability to care for yourself, or your mental health is deteriorating severely, and it is pouring out into work life, social life, how you care for yourself. Yeah. Then I think that's the moment when we got to reevaluate how I'm approaching this. But I think everyone's space for boundaries is different. Yeah. Because, only you know what your limit is. True. Because I'm like that. It's something that I think is big that many people, and most people got at least, one person, maybe even an extended family, that they're just like, well, yeah, he's out there. Yeah. 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 Man. Yes. Ambiguous grief.
I struggle to tell stories about my family because I realize that they didn't sign up for this podcast. Yeah. I did. Right? Yeah. And so I have the person in my mind.
Oh, of course.
That is exactly that. Yeah. And the crazy thing is that, like, when I see Kanye, I see that person. Yeah. Because I'm like, man, like, how can these two have the same brain? Yeah. Like, they might not be, both be in creativity. Yeah. But the thought process is the same.
Very much.
And it's just like, yo, how did you get here?
Like, what happened along the way?
Like, were you that person who was left behind? Yeah. Were you that person who was ignored or pushed to the side? Things like that. Or were you that person who was coddled and told you that your shit don't stink?
Or, this goes back to the stigma of mental health. Like, is this a space where, we're not going to talk about that. And so early on, these things were ignored until it's to the point where now you have agency and autonomy for yourself. Right. And if everyone else has never nipped this in the bud, then if you're not motivated to get answers, then you just continue trucking on. Yep. And whatever happens, we roll the dice.
Right. And now that becomes your learned behavior that you think is acceptable. Because it's been acceptable.
It is your norm. Yeah.
It's been acceptable.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Everyone's got one.
Everybody. I promise you I got one. Yeah. 2. Yeah. Yeah. Because it's just like, we get to the point where, rewinding back to what you said a moment ago. Yeah. You said something about us wanting to make them want to, like, because I have that same cousin Marcus that I talked to you about earlier. He's a personal trainer. Yeah. And he is all about positive life changes, peace coach, all that good stuff, right? Shout out to Marcus Cargill, the peach coach. So he has the mentality where it's like he does not force wellness on the people in his family.
Oh, yeah. No.
He is surrounded by people who either have made positive health choices or have not. Yeah. And I asked him one day, I'm like, so how do you cope with knowing that you have the answers, that you have the recipe, the key, the recipe? And they're just like, nah, I don't want that. And he was like, you know what? I just really have to do for myself what I want them to do for themselves.
Modeling.
I have to be, exactly. Modeling. Like, I have to model it. I have to continue to be open to them and offer it. And then I still have to not treat them like I'm disappointed in them for not choosing it. Because love is going to draw people more than all this other stuff.
Always.
And I was like, Lord, come on, keep coming around, because I need to get some of this.
I need all the positive energy.
I need that in me, because I'll be ready to shake people and be like, why?
See, we talked about this earlier about, what is a bad habit that I had to let go of? And when I say complaining, this I feel like is interfolded in that of just like, I realize I don't vent a lot. Yeah. I don't vent a lot because I am in a space in my life where I don't feel like I have a whole lot to complain about. Oof. I am very quickly able to find the silver lining in things.
And I was about to say this because of your perspective.
Yeah.
Because you reframe.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Spend every day I'm, positively reframing.
Yeah.
And this is why I will quote myself to other people that, I'm annoyingly positive. And I think I have to be because I feel like
it's necessary.
We live in a day and age where we can turn on the news, where we can get on social media, and it's just a slew of negative things.
Right.
I can't tell you how many patients I have that are like, I don't feel good, but there's nothing wrong.
Right.
And, they'll be like, I feel like I'm just in a state of existential dread. And I'm like, well, I live in the same dimension as you, so I can understand that.
Right.
And so it is a real choice and real work to choose to not sit in that, but to choose to be positive and just model the person and the behavior that you want to be or that you hope that other people can be. And that rubs off. That does.
It does.
I have many friends who have told me, like,
it does.
You know what? I'm a little different.
Yeah. Yeah.
And because you don't let me sit in that. Well, because there's nothing I can do about it. And I often will say to patients and friends, like, if I can't change it in 5 minutes, then I'm going to go ahead and take some deep breaths. Find something to be a distraction or a diversion, and I'm going to table it for later. Yeah. And we'll come back to it when I'm in a less anxious or a calmer space. Yeah. And see if I really don't have the solutions or if I really just need to ask for support with this. If I can't fix it, because you can pay a bill in 5 minutes. You can make a phone call to some person who can help you with said things. Right. So if I can't fix it in 5 minutes, let me just take a moment.
Yeah, you got to table that. You know what? I'm glad this is recording. Because I'm going to go ahead and come back to this and be like, okay, so can't do it in 5. Look, I'm so serious because there are a lot of us who are, especially people who deal with anxiety, it's hard to not want that thing to be what that thing is supposed to be, how you think it's supposed to be. And it's just like, you know what? Sometimes you do have to table. You do have to sit down. You do have to let it be what it is. Radically accept it. Yeah. And, allow the thought to pass. Come back to it when you have the ability to kind of work through whatever thoughts you have. But you cannot stay there. That's one of the things that I really have had to pray over. Yeah. Because I was like, God, I don't know how to do this on my own. I need you to help me because clearly I am a ruminator by design. And I need you to pull me on up out of that.
Oh, yeah.
Hell yeah. Because, look, I'm one of those kind of people that I will be in my bed at night playing
the script your brain doesn't shut down.
I'm like, girl, please stop thinking. And I'm like, I'm trying.
You're like, I would like to be asleep.
I would love to not be thinking about these things right now. But yeah, so I know we have talked about a whole lot of stuff, and I definitely am going to bring you back, but I know the time is running long. So I'm going to go ahead and allow us to tell the people how they can find you. Actually, you know what? Before that, what's next for you?
That is a good question. So I feel like I'm in a very comfortable space, but I may continue to expand on more private practice work because I think that is something that I get more joy from right now, having a variety of patients instead of my, full-time where I'm focusing more on addiction and more mental health intersects with that. Right. But just spending more time in private practice is really just next for me, and maybe continuing to grow in that space. Yeah. But I don't, have any drastic shifts that I want to make within my career. Yes. Done a little bit of everything in my work. And so I was like, I don't know that I want to, start forming my own agency, but I am open to working or collaborating with some of my other colleagues in the field in volunteer opportunities. I think that's a big thing that may be next for me is just more volunteer work within the mental health space that can, show up as me representing more people in my community. Yeah, yeah. So what are your specialties, though? I don't think I asked you about that. Oh, yes. So CBT, we love some CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. Yes. We love to confront those cognitive distortions and reframe and restructure. Yes. I think most people are often holding them and dealing with them. And I am working toward wanting to get a certification in dialectical behavioral therapy because I really love grounding work. Yeah. So wait, so you're working towards wanting to do it? Well, because I have a broader goal in mind with that.
Okay.
And maybe that's what I should have answered to the last question you had, is that I really want to get a special certification in that and tie it into doing trauma-informed therapy in yoga.
Now,
So that's what I really want to do.
That would be amazing. I'd sign up.
Know how that's going to fit in my schedule?
I'd sign up.
I have a crazy schedule, so I got to restructure some things.
Yes, you do. Or you have to let some things go.
Oh yeah, I'm going to have to cut down some things.
Yeah.
But that is what I want to do, and I've talked to a lot of colleagues about this. That I was like, I want to. That's why I want that special certification, because you don't really need it.
Right.
But I want it for that, so that I can do trauma-informed yoga.
So, what does that look like?
So it is yoga that is led by therapists, because as many people have heard, we carry trauma in our hips.
Yes.
And so a lot of deep stretching classes mostly tend to be geared toward women.
Right.
And tend to be pretty emotional work, because it's a lot of breath work.
True.
A lot of grounding, but a lot of like deep yoga poses to kind of help release some of that trauma. I have attended one and I was like, oh, I want to do this.
Okay, I'm gonna have to look that up
and
too.
I enjoy yoga, so I'm like, why can't we mesh these?
Okay.
I don't know that after I get this certification that's another job I want.
Yeah.
But we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Yeah, I mean,
but I
love
think
that.
That's great.
I'd sign up. For
I was like, and maybe that is where I will transition that with a volunteer opportunity.
True.
Like taking that to community spaces. Yeah. Because I can see that being something to be like, hey, I know you don't want to do therapy, but I am a therapist, and let's do some trauma-informed yoga. Let's do some breath work. Let's talk about what trauma is. Let's talk about why this will be beneficial to you and why you should practice it. And maybe that'll open the door to people wanting to kind of get support with their mental health, maybe.
I love that. I do. So now you can tell the people, how do they find you?
Yes. So for private practice needs, I can be found on Rula Mental Health, which I take most insurances, just not Kaiser, since that is my other full-time. So it's a conflict of interest.
Yeah.
But that is where I can be found. You can just look my name up and a picture of me will come.
Yep. And on social media?
Yes, at the Boughie Therapist on Instagram.
Boughie Therapist on Instagram. I love it. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I do appreciate it. This has been an enlightening conversation, and I think that more conversations like this need to be had. And I think also having conversations. Now, I want to bring you on to one of my Women in Wines.
Oh, that sounds fun.
So the Women in Wine episodes are where I get a group of women together. Technically, we're supposed to be drinking some wine, but we might drink other things instead. Just depends on what the mood is at that day.
Yeah.
But then we also kind of just talk about what's on our heart for that day.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that in those scenarios, being able to have someone who's like, okay, so let's kind of talk through that a little bit. That would be super helpful. Because, and not even like putting you in a place of being a therapist, but more so of like a voice of reason.
I mean, that's the same thing I would do with friends. Be like, so I'm not going to let you just stop there, right?
Exactly.
You should tell me a little bit more.
You know what? I want to know, when you get an opportunity, I would love to know your thoughts on the last Women in Wine episode, because that was wild. That was wild. There was one guest on there. I'm not even going to say her name, because you're going to know who it is the moment you start watching it. If you haven't already watched it, you're going to be like, oh, that's what she's talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's what she's talking about. I just want to know your thoughts on that one, because that's it. But anywho, because I can keep talking if you let me. So thank y'all so much for joining me today for this episode of the Sonshine State. My name is Sonshine Wiley. I have been your host. If you are looking for us, we can be reached on www.sunshinestate.com. Oh, Jesus. I mean, www.sunshinestate.com. Sunshine with an O, okay? Oh, man. Anyway.
They knew what you meant.
Thank you so much for joining me. That is not on my mind, y'all. I promise it's not. Anyway.
She's like, it's time for my snack.
It's time for a nap. That's what it's time for.
Yes, that.
Anywho. Again, we have well-brand apparel. We have some really cool stuff coming out. Those cardigans, they are not just for men. Ladies, I want to see you in your mini skirts with these cardigans on. with your leggings with these cardigans on. These cardigans are life. You hear me? And you're going to see me in one as soon as mine ships in. So, yes, definitely tap into all the things that we got going on. Our details are at the bottom of the screen. Thank y'all so much for being here today. Thank you for being with me today.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. And I love y'all. Have a good one. Bye.
So stand out, stand out, stand out. You're here, you're free, absolutely where you need to be.
Thank you for joining the journey to the Sonshine State, a space for health, healing, and wellness.